Christmas Day with a house full of family and friends, and the toilet backs up, and the garbage disposal gets clogged, and a guest spills the gravy boat or maybe a glass of wine, and oh, it's Christmas Day and businesses are closed, and no, Santa won't fix it. So fortunately tonight I have two experts who will share with us their advice on how we can fix it ourselves. A little bit later, Andrew Twidwell with ABT Plumbing will be here. And in just a moment, I'll introduce Barry Phillips of Select Floor Care to give us some carpet tips. Another information-packed, good-to-know show. So glad you're with us. So let's get the party started. My first guest tonight is Barry Phillips, the owner of Select Floor Care, and he's here to give us some how-to hit tips. So warm welcome to the program to Barry. Hi.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Okay, the holidays are here. People are coming. Let's start with the basics, getting the house clean. And you were just telling me before the program that there's a few good to know how to vacuum, which, okay, show us how to do it properly.
Well, I think a lot of people's conception of vacuuming is looking for the particular things you can see on the floor.
True.
And just kind of hitting those real quick because you're thinking
Yeah.
about everything else that needs to be done.
Yeah.
What tends to happen is especially in entryways or maybe coming out of your kitchen, those are all hard surfaces, so they don't absorb anything.
Okay.
So everything that you walk on and bring onto the carpet is building up into the carpet.
I see, from the hard areas.
Precisely.
Okay, okay.
So what we recommend, and is recommended by most carpet manufacturers and mills, is slow passes back and forth in those areas.
Okay.
As much as possible. They recommend 10 to 15 slow passes, and then when accessible, if you can turn your vacuum in those areas,
Okay.
and that'll really work to loosen up the dirt and remove a lot of it.
So don't just go for a spot that you're looking for. Take an area at a time with the motion back and forth, and then cross, I guess, vacuum that way.
Right. And we recommend that in front of like your chairs, your favorite sitting area, or couches.
Okay.
Those are all areas that tend to break down faster and start to look bad or ugly.
Right, right. They get a little more wear and tear and foot traffic on it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that really helps to keep those areas from becoming such a negative eyesore.
Yeah.
And one of the first areas that usually a homeowner will point out to me is, I moved my couch and now look,
it's
this
all
is what
fluffy.
it used to look like. So
Yeah.
a real good demonstration of that.
Okay, all right. So now we've got a little how to get the house clean and get the carpet all fluffed up. So let's put this over to the side and walk back here. Speaking of carpets, now we've got it nice and fluffy and we're entertaining. And you're going to show us how we can lift some stains out from spills.
Yeah, one of the things that happens obviously when liquid type spill is deposited on the carpet is gravity takes effect and sinks through the carpet fibers, back of the carpet, and finally all the way down into the padding.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That pad is obviously, as you can feel, it's a giant sponge.
Yes.
And it holds so much of dirt and liquids that it's really hard when you're tamping and smashing on here trying to get things up
Right.
to actually get them up. A lot of people will add another liquid to that liquid, which obviously is continuing to gravitate down.
Right, more liquid into the sponge area.
Exactly. So a lot of common practices to get your rag out and people will stand on it and do that. Same thing. Now what you're doing is pushing it and pushing it further.
Okay. Out into the pad underneath.
Exactly.
So the first thing is not to go try to lift it up. Is that it?
Yeah, we just as a good demonstration here, let's say your favorite uncle's over. We all like coffee with our apple pie with the holidays. And somebody runs by and hits the table and just pours the coffee.
Okay.
So now we have a nice big coffee spot,
Yep.
as you can see.
Looks like my house already. The coffee spot's still there from a year ago Christmas.
Yeah, and what happens is a lot of things like coffee or wine this time of the year, when carpet's made or manufactured, when they color it, they use an acidic water-based dye. Coffee and tea is actually used in things like area rugs to give it a look or an antiquing or staining.
Right.
So you're doing just that. You're recoloring your carpet. You've redecorated, and now this is your new color for that particular spot.
Yeah. Okay.
Good, cheap, easy fix.
All right.
A box like this, I think, is less than $2 at the grocery store.
Yeah. Well, I would need. What's the Econo Pack size? Does it come at Costco? Something like that.
Yeah, or you got to buy multiples, however that works.
The multi-pack. Okay.
Obviously, time is of the essence. The sooner you can get this and get it on there,
Okay.
the better chance you have. They're very easy to sprinkle on,
Oh, I see already. It's just pulling it up.
and that's exactly what it's doing. Is it's actually a wicking agent.
Wow.
So
And it looks like snow. It
Yes.
just is perfect.
slightly colored snow.
Yeah. Oh, it's really pulling it all up. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so once it's done that, you can give it, I've had customers say they've given it a full day to pull up in there.
Leave it like that?
Yeah. I'd recommend more 1 to 2 hours of leaving it.
I see. So we need like a little orange cone to set up there.
Yes,
so that
caution this
nobody's
area
walking.
off. Relocate it.
Quarantine it off. All right, then at what point can we determine the next step? I mean, it looks all brown now, and that most of it is, do we want it dried out?
That's kind of
it?
what it's going to do. It'll
Okay.
almost turn into like a pancake type patty.
Yeah.
And
right.
a lot of times you can use literally like a spatula if you have something like
I
that.
see.
And deposit that into a paper bag or something else, a plastic bag
Uh-huh.
to not continue to contaminate. And
Right.
then we always recommend using a shop vac type vac.
Okay.
The reason for that is you can use the hose and nozzle. You can get down in there
Right.
real well.
Right.
The other thing is your vacuum on the underside has what's called a beater bar. You'll see those
Okay.
brushes
Yeah,
underneath there
right.
that help to do things.
Right.
Well, if this is something that has a lot of odor to it,
Mm-hmm.
and you do that, you chance spreading it around and spreading the odor around as you're trying to contain it.
Okay.
So if you can get most of it up with a shop vac and then use a vacuum from that point.
Okay.
And then a lot of times you can just get a white cloth with a little bit of water and just dab what's left in there, and you'll get anywhere from 90 to 100% of it back up.
Just this process alone. So once it's dried out, and I see it's still continuing to absorb around the white. Right. Initially, it was just a core here, and now it's spread out to the outer areas. So time really does help with fixing this. But then that's it. It just you vacuum it up basically.
Yeah, from there. And then, like I said, if there's a little bit of a residual, sometimes there's a little bit of a chalkiness that'll be left behind. Just
Okay.
a white towel. Always dab, never agitate.
I
You'll
see.
Fray the fibers of the carpet.
Oh, damp white towel? Okay,
Yep.
with water. Then what kinds of spills will this baking soda work on? Does it cover a lot, or is it just, coffee or
Any
hopefully a
liquid
lot?
type spill. Any
Okay.
water-based liquid
Alright.
type spill. Blood, if it gets in there, blood's really tough.
And
This
wine?
will soak it up. Wine as well.
And red wine? I mean, that's always everyone's the panic of the red wine.
Yeah. We recommend not just doing this process and then stepping away from it.
Okay.
If there's still color that persists and you find an over-the-counter spot remover that works, most likely what you've done is removed some of the color out of the carpet
Oh,
to get that
Yeah.
color out.
yeah, which is good.
In some capacities, there's only about 16% of over-the-counter spot removers that work better than water.
Oh, okay.
So
Don't be fooled by the commercials or advertising on TV then.
advertisement sells.
Oh, yeah, okay. So don't waste your money. See, we're finding ways to save people money too. Baking soda is handy and readily accessible. So water-based spills will work with the baking soda. I wanted to mention, I took a look at your website, and there's great spill tips. So if on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, you just go to selectcarpetcleaning.com, and Barry's got lots of good tips on stains and how to do it. So let's see, we just got a couple more minutes. Is there something else you wanted to cover real quickly?
Well, one of the services we offer is fine area rug washing.
That's right. Yes.
Such as
Good.
wools and Turkish and just a plethora of other rugs from around
Right.
the world. One of the things that tends to drive people nuts when they're dealing with rugs is their rugs look so beautiful, and on the end there's these used to be nice white fringes.
Yes.
And those
Yeah.
fringes, because they're
Over
just an
time.
untreated cotton, like a Hanes type
Yeah.
t-shirt, and everybody walks on it, it just soaks it up and they just go
Right.
downhill really fast.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, oh, I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and I'm just going to cut those guys right off.
Or I tuck them under.
Well,
Hide everything
tucking them
the
under
rug.
is actually a very reasonable way to do it. One of the things we can do is tuck them under and actually put a special stitch on it to hold them together. But cutting those off is like taking the foundation out of your house.
Okay.
The rug will ultimately fall apart. So
there is a process that and you're certified to
Absolutely.
do the area rugs, which is a great specialty in training.
yeah, my wife Michelle does all of that,
Okay,
and
good.
she
Yeah.
is our rug expert, and she can actually restore a lot of those fringes and or replace them
To
if
their
need be.
original white luster.
Absolutely.
Wow. All right. Well, Barry, we are out of time. Go to the website, selectcarpetcleaning.com, and there's good tips. So if you get stuck, go to the website. And thank you so much for coming on. This was very helpful.
Thank you very much. It was fun.
All right, we're going to take our first break while I bring up my second guest. So stick around. We'll be right back.
To the water.
Welcome back to Cafe Community, our holiday how-to, and we just learned a great valuable carpet cleaning tip when there's a spill on the carpet with Barry Phillips of Select Carpet Care. And my next guest tonight is going to help us with our plumbing problems that always seem to arise this time of year when we have family and friends. So a warm welcome to Andrew Twidwell with ABT Plumbing, Electric, Heating, and Air. Hi, Andrew. Hi. Welcome. All right, so now we go from carpet problems to the kitchen. Problems. And there's always fun. So where would you like to start in the kitchen?
Let's start with the disposer.
Okay.
So it's one of those things that a lot of people don't realize how easy it is to clog a disposer. So it's kind of nice to know the type of things that you don't want to put down the drain.
Ants are always famous for putting
yes.
down extra stuff.
After they steal those potatoes.
Yeah.
If you think of a disposer, it's kind of like this can. It's like a coffee can with some slices in it. And there's a disc on the bottom that spins around and cuts things up.
Okay.
So,
and I know we've got a couple photos. I don't know if those got into the system, but it was kind of a cross view of the disposal. So hopefully there might be a couple of graphics, but go ahead.
In any event, there are these little slices, and things go through. That's where the liquid and food drain through. Mm-hmm. So if you've got something like spaghetti that's long and stringy,
or at least it's whole wheat.
Yeah. Lots of fiber.
Lots of fiber.
It'll actually wiggle its way through the slots. Same with carrot peels, potato peels, onions sometimes,
so anything
celery,
long and narrow
anything long and narrow and skinny. Because it literally just kind of squirms its way through. What will happen is it goes into the drain, it goes into the disposer, doesn't have enough time to really get cut up, and then kind of wiggles its way through, gets stuck usually right here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little baffle inside this T underneath the sink. This guy kind of attaches like this.
I see.
And it gets stuck right in. There's a restriction right there, and will clog the drain. So if that has happened to you, if Aunt Mildred peeled all those potatoes and dropped them down the drain, and you didn't catch her, she was just trying to be helpful.
That's right. We love her anyway.
You know, what are you going to do? And it is Christmas Day, and nobody's working that day.
Right.
You can give it a shot. I mean, what do you have to lose if you want to try it by yourself?
So to try to take that apart.
You can actually take it apart and clear it yourself. It's a relatively easy process. Get a big bucket, because there's going to be water inside of this little P-trap. And there may be some water in the sink, so you want to have something that's large enough to contain all the water.
Right.
Undo. Most P-traps are pretty much, you can do them with your fingers.
Yeah, I like these. These are very, you don't need
a tool.
You
don't need a big crescent wrench or channel lock. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Okay.
Drop the P-trap, pull this little guy off, knock the debris out, put everything back together, run some water, test it, and you're good to go.
Now,
usually.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's the first thing to try. Right. And so are the majority of the problems the drain clog?
If it is something from a disposer, and a lot of times, 9 times out of 10 in the kitchen, it usually is within the P-trap.
Okay.
So a lot of times you can do that yourself. You can take care of it yourself.
All right.
On the off chance that this is something that's been going over for a period of time.
Right.
There could be something inside the drain, in which case you're going to need a cable, you're going to need a snake.
You may want to call somebody else. You
may want to call somebody else out to help you with it.
Well, for me, it always seems to be the mechanical. Like the disposal just hums. It's not moving. There's no water backing up or anything. It just hums, and so you flip the switch on and off again to kind of recharge it, and then you realize it's bigger.
I'm glad you brought me to that.
It's always my
So there is
it's always bigger instead of simple.
It's pretty cool. Most disposers have this little Allen at the bottom of it, and some of them come with this little tool. Not all of them, but if you have an Allen wrench set, a lot of times you can find one that's the appropriate size, and it sticks right in the center here, and it literally spins the inside chamber. So if it does get stuck and you hear that humming noise, as long as you hear the humming noise, you can get in there and free it up, free up the teeth.
So is that because a bottle cap, somebody dropped their bottle cap in there and...
Damn son-in-law or something, yeah.
Mildred's son again. She's invited, but not him.
So once you do get it unclogged, you got to get that bottle cap out or the piece of silverware or whatever else.
Yeah,
so you stick your hand in there, unplug it first, stick your hand in there or tool, and pull it out. If you don't hear humming sound, that means the circuit breaker's tripped. And there's a little red button right here. and this protects the motor from burning up when it gets jammed.
Okay.
So it might pop, and then you can actually just push this little button. It's just off center, and it'll reset the breaker. Get in there and move the sucker around, turn it on,
Okay,
give it a shot.
Let me hold this on this side. So there we've got a shot of that. So a good handy tool to have if your disposal. Well, some disposals are really old, and so you lose those.
There is another trick.
Okay.
My little
Yes, the handy plunger. Okay.
This one's a little trickier though, because you can mess things up. But if you have somebody that's available, get them underneath the sink to hold the disposer, and you can use a plunger, stick the handle in, and then twist it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you can unjam it that way as well if you don't have an Allen wrench.
Oh.
Or if the disposer doesn't actually have the Allen hole
Right.
on it.
Oh,
Some of them
it's
don't.
that old.
Most of them do, but
Yeah.
some of them don't.
Okay.
That's another little quickie trick that's kind of handy to know.
Really, a plunger, you can take full advantage. You get more mileage of just your everyday plunger. I'm telling you, it's the best hostess gift, right? We were talking about that.
I think so.
Okay, do we
You
want
want
to?
to do dishwashers?
Yeah, because that's connected, so let's stay in
So
the
one
kitchen.
thing you were mentioning that, all of a sudden you run the dishwasher and water comes flooding out on top of the deck out of this
Right.
little whatchamacallit doohickey that no one really knows what it's
Yeah,
for, but it's sitting up there. And what do you do about that? Most of the time, the clog, back up a little bit. The dishwasher goes into this little tube and then drains through a bigger tube and goes into the disposer.
Okay.
What usually happens is it gets clogged right there. And it's usually right inside.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
a relatively
Okay.
easy fix.
Yeah,
If you-
easy to get
if
to.
you're not too queasy or squeamish, you can actually just stick your finger in there and knock the debris out, and that clears it.
Would that be from the dishwasher, like all of the good
It'll be
from the
it'd actually be
plates?
from the disposer. A lot of the crud inside
that
the disposer
didn't get down all
yeah,
the way. I
the
see.
fats and the grease and all the other yummy stuff that we
Okay.
put down the sink.
Whatever
Yeah.
hole we stick that in.
It'll actually clog that little guy up, and then that's what makes this thing drain all over your counter.
Okay. So the disposal again is the main source of care, where you need
Yeah.
some TLC and
Yeah.
to be careful what's going in and make
Yeah.
sure that everything is
Definitely.
out of there before running the dishwasher.
Definitely.
So okay, all right, that's good to know. So if the water comes out of that, then you could start with.
Turn the drain, pinky finger, clears it right out.
Okay.
As long as your hands aren't too huge. Mine can still fit, but I know some of my guys that work for me can't get their hands in there. So
See, now I would probably take the Allen thing here and try to get in
you
there.
can do that too. As a
think this
plumber, we
should
don't
be-
get too squeamish about things like that. That's just food. We deal with a lot
right,
worse.
right. There's, and I guess speaking of, is this a way to go into backed up
Nice
toilets?
segue.
Okay.
So,
Our pal, the plunger
the
again.
plunger. This thing can save you a lot of money. I don't know, probably $25 at the hardware store.
Right.
Buy a good one.
Yes, that's what we were talking before the
Yeah.
show. That a really good quality plunger.
Don't buy the cheap ones with like the little C cup
That's-
that barely do anything. You want to get one that actually has the little flute, or kind of like at the end of
Okay.
a trumpet, the little tool that you put at the end of the
yes,
trumpet.
all right.
This thing works really well. You can clear. Again, I want to say 9 times out of 10 you can clear a toilet with this thing, and especially the low flow toilets. They tend to get clogged up right inside the trap passageway, right at the toilet. A couple plungers with this thing, and you're going to free it right up. While you're doing it, this is something else you want to know, that a plunger works both in the push and the pull. So to break things free, you really want to push and pull on it,
Okay.
and you can clear it out. It's also really handy for sinks. I've cleared a lot of sinks and showers, and we don't allow our
you
guys
mean
to do it.
You mean
use
in
them,
the
but-
in the drain part
Yeah.
of it?
Yeah.
Oh, so if it's running slow, if the water is running
Yeah.
slow,
Yeah.
just put that over the.
Put this over the drain
Drain?
and plunge it a couple times. Fill the basin with water and plunge it a couple times. It works pretty good. There are a few caveats to that. If you've got an air gap, water's going to spit out of your air gap. So you got to take some vice grips and squeeze off the tube. Or if you've got a bathroom sink with an overflow, there's that little hole that, if in case the basin fills up too much, the water goes down the overflow.
Oh, that's right.
You got to take
That's
a
right.
sponge, a wet sponge, and plug that, and you can plunge it. And a lot of times you can clear your
Okay.
sink drain with that.
Yeah.
It's a
And
great tool. Great handy
I'm
thing to have.
beginning
And buy
to-
a good one.
I'm
Don't
really-
buy a cheap one.
really beginning to
Yeah.
appreciate it, and also knowing that the end now can
That's a tool as well.
release those blades that have gotten.
and it's a
kind of-
hostess gift.
And we were.
It works, does many
I
things.
think the best Christmas hostess gift to take to effect. And it also works for the Christmas hat, too. So the handy plunger, I'm really beginning to think this is, I always thought it was the sledgehammer you needed in the house was the number one thing, so you can knock these things out and kind of take care of everything. But, well, this is good to know. I had another quick question about the toilet being clogged, but sometimes there's the water doesn't go down, or the valve, the little spring comes off, or it stays up.
The jiggling toilet
Yes.
syndrome.
Yeah.
You can. Toilets are our nemesis. They're one of the most difficult things to work on.
Lots of parts.
We have a lot of callbacks on toilets. There's a lot of parts, and they don't all work with each toilet. You kind of have to know which parts work with which. But you can, if you've got one that you have to jiggle, a lot of times you can just change the flapper, the little flush valve thing inside, and adjust the chain so it's a little taut, but not
okay.
so tight that it stays open. It's a tricky one. I've had more problems throughout my career of doing this for, dare I say, 25 years, with toilets than anything else.
Okay.
They're
yeah.
pain.
So hope it's just a clog.
Hope it's just a clog.
And anything
You got to get inside. But again,
the
give
tank.
it a shot. What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
You know, the worst thing you do is have to call a plumber out. But
Right.
maybe
but,
not.
But you can do it manually in the
Yeah.
meantime, too.
Yeah, you might be able to
So-
fix it.
Right.
and then
I
call
even
a
found
professional out after everything fails.
ABT plumbing. And in fact, this is a good time to mention that Andrew's website, easyasabt.com, has a lot of good tips
Yeah.
on there. Good, valuable resource for you to remember that website. And he has a blog that you just click on the blog, and there's lots of good how-to.
And we try to update that every month or two, so there's always new content on there, so you can take a look and see if it's something that's helpful.
You can also YouTube him, so
Yeah.
there's good information. All right, so thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you to my guest tonight, Barry Phillips, Select Carpet Care, Andrew Twidwell, ABT Plumbing. And so that's it. This is, hope these shows have helped you with getting you through the holidays. And so good you could be with us, and have the best of the holiday celebration. We'll see you next year.